Hello my friends and welcome to another video. Today, I want to explore my thoughts on what lies northwest of the currently released areas of Liyue. The gateway to Fontaine, Qiaoying Village, is probably coming quite soon, so I wanted to get my ideas out as soon as I could. So, with that said, let's get straight into the video. First mentioned in the commission, The Little Pirate Goes Out to Sea in version 2.4, Qiaoying Village is a settlement located in northwest Liyue on the border of Fontaine. Due to its location, it is safe to assume that it will either release an update or two before Fontaine, or even in the 4.0 update with Fontaine. More information was later given by Zhang Li during the Of Drink of Dreaming event in version 2.5, as well as from Lieben in version 2.6's run of Marvelous Merchandise. Of course, 2.6 is also when the Echoes of an Offering artifact set was released, which provided quite a bit of information on Qiaoying Village and the surrounding areas. Qiaoying Village is famous for its tea products, including many different types of tea trees and leaves. Of course, this also means they produce many types of tea, including Tianheng Boha and Qiaoying Floral Tea. They also have an annual tea serving ceremony, in which they use the wilted petals of spirit scent flowers to cultivate unique teas. Yilong's special dish, Dew Dip Shrimp, also utilizes some of Qiaoying Village's specialties, using dipped dew tea leaves as part of the recipe. This type of tea is described as new in the description for this recipe, suggesting that new types of tea leaves are occasionally discovered and grown in Qiaoying Village. One more person who gives us information on Qiaoying Village is actually Shishong from the Chasm Delver's World Quest series. She noted that the village has a very strong odor of tea, which of course makes sense given the business there. She also noted one particular skilled tea maker, who she calls the Old Man. Perhaps this is the village's elder, and this position may be held by the most skilled tea maker in the village. Additionally, Zhishong mentions a construction project she was commissioned for in the village. Her role, as a cartographer, was to map the terrain of the village as preparation for the rest of the project. However, she says that the project was cancelled in the end, making all her work somewhat pointless. It would be interesting to see this reference at some point when we visit Qiaoying Village, and perhaps it may even be used for a separate project in the village. Speaking of terrain though, I'm thinking this village will have green hills full of tea leaves in some parts, similar to Qingsha Village, but with less pronunciations of the steps. I'm also thinking that this area will have a similar geography to the rest of Liyue, and that it will be quite mountainous. This is most likely going to be the case for the surrounding areas of the village, known as Chenyu Vale. In Echoes of an Offering, Chenyu Vale was described as quite mountainous with many streams and rivers, so this description fits quite well. The amount of streams will also of course connect with its location relative to Fontaine, being the closest area in the nation of Geo to Fontaine. These streams likely also flow from Fontaine, much like the rivers that flow into Mondstadt, which is how the wine of Dawn Winery is of such high quality. These waters could also have had an effect on the tea quality in the area, which would help explain why the tea of Qiaoying Village and Chenyu Vale is so unique and popular. It may also be so good because of the Herb Lord, an adeptus who once lived in the area, but was changed by an unknown event, which may have also led to them losing their fingers. The adeptus was also part of the reason why these tea trees grew here in the first place, with someone planting them on her mountain and her letting the trees continue to grow. It is said that the tea trees of Chenyu Vale will grow no matter the water, soil, or sunlight, and that they only grow in Chenyu Vale. This definitely sounds like the power of an adeptus to me, and perhaps the high-quality waters from Fontaine that flow into the area also help these tea trees grow to exceptional quality. These combined factors may also be why there are so many different varieties of tea that come from the area, as well as why new ones apparently are discovered every so often as well. Now, there is one more part of Liyue that I would like to discuss in this video, that being Yilong Port. However, unlike Qiaoying Village and Chenyu Vale, the location of this place, as well as most general information about it, is not known. I still wanted to cover it here though, as it wouldn't hurt to talk about. We know that there are artisans who live in Yilong Port, and make simple ornaments much like the sans piece Symbol of Felicitation from Echoes of an Offering. As for its location, while not explicitly said, I assume it's in the area of Chenyu Vale, considering the artifact set it was mentioned in, which is all about this area. It would also make sense to have a port near the nation of Hydro, as there are likely many rivers and other bodies of water throughout Fontaine, and boats would therefore be quite a common transportation method. Additionally, it would be a great commercial stop between the two nations, and would be great for business. The other possible location for Yilong Port would be in the currently unreleased southern parts of Liyue, alongside the Blackcliff Forge. However, I see this as being quite unlikely, as Liyue harbors in the south, and is quite prosperous on its own. Unless it is there as an intermediary between Liyue Harbor and Port Omas and Sumeru, I think it is far more likely for it to be located near Fontaine in Chenyu Vale. For the last section of this video, I'd like to go over a few ideas for some new characters we can see in these areas, as there will undoubtedly be new people to meet in these areas. This, of course, would include Vision Wielders, who could be playable characters when these areas are released. I do plan on releasing a separate video at some point for potential playable characters from versions 3.6 to 3.8, as there are only 2 characters we know of with visions who are yet to be playable, those being Baiju and Kaveh. For this video though, I have 2 ideas I'd like to briefly discuss, one being focused more towards Qiaoying Village, and the other to Yilong Port. Starting with the Qiaoying Village character, I think it would fit to have a tea farmer or seller become a playable character. I'm thinking this character would have probably grown up in the village, potentially even being the child or grandchild of the skilled tea maker who Zhishang called the Old Man. If they are the grandchild, perhaps their parents either left the village, leaving them behind after going on an adventure, or perhaps they unfortunately passed away. As it seems to be the case when someone loses someone close to them, this person would then have an anemo vision. This would allow them to cultivate tea leaves with ease, being able to gather them together or flying up to tall branches if some grow up high. This would also provide Liyue with another anemo character, as the only one currently from Liyue is Zhao. As for their rarity, I'd like to think they'd be a 4-star, and they could be a support or healer, using the tea leaves or something like that to help their party members. As for the character from Yilong Port, I think they'd be the 5-star. I feel like there could be a lot more flexibility for this character, as they don't necessarily have to be from Liyue. Instead, they could be our first playable character from Fontaine, who is visiting Yilong Port on business. They could go there often for cargo shipments and other business, and we just happen to meet them on one of their trips. For their vision, I think they'd be Geo, as they would probably be more focused on their business and work, and would be more serious about that rather than fighting. However, I picked them as the 5-star, because I believe they would become serious about fighting if it meant protecting their cargo, and could train a great deal to make sure nothing happens to it. There is of course so much potential for these areas and characters, which makes me all the more excited for it, especially since it's pretty much right around the corner and getting closer every day. This has been one of my most anticipated areas ever since I read the lore from Echoes of an Offering, which I did make a video on a while back if you want to check that out. With all that said though, there are still so many possibilities for these areas, and I'd love to hear all your thoughts in the comments below. Anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Sources and further readings are also available in the description if you want to check them out too. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I'll see you all in the next video.